Hello and welcome to another episode of World Achievers on RMC TV with me, Nanamo for you are Inchi. And today I promise you a very interesting conversation. I'll be sitting here with a phenomenal woman who is causing massive strides in the educational system in Africa. Yes, this is a woman who has dedicated her life's work to changing the narrative in the education landscape in rural areas in Africa. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. And if this is your first time, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to RMC TV. Welcome back from the break. If this is your first time you're watching the World Achievers episode on RMC TV, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. As I mentioned earlier, I'm joined by a phenomenal woman, the founder of Lively Minds, a non-governmental organization dedicated and committed to promoting early childhood in rural areas in Africa. Yes, so today I'm joined by a British national, Miss Alison Naftalin. Hello, Alison. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Lovely to spend this time with you.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, thank you.
Okay, great. So I've heard a lot about Lively Minds from you. I'd love for us to tell our audience about Lively Minds as well. So a tidbit about your organization and what you're about.
Well, Lively Minds is working in rural Ghana and Uganda, and we're working to get early childhood development to very rural communities. Right.
Okay, someone might be watching and might not know what early childhood is about. So to the lay person in Ghana or someone my grandmother in the rural Ghana, what's early childhood education?
So early childhood is the period of life from birth to 8 years old, and during this time this is when children are really developing the foundations in their learning, in their brain development, in their socio and emotional development that really sets them up for the rest of their life. So if we get these foundations right, that can build such a strong foundation for all future development. But if that opportunity is squandered, then unfortunately it can set children on a pathway of a cycle where they start school when they're not ready for school, and that makes it far harder for them to learn and to go on and progress well in school and in life.
Okay, so what development strategies are you putting in place, and which parts of rural Ghana are you working at the moment?
So we're working with government, so it's very important for us that we don't set up something different that then can't sustain. So our strategy is to partner with the government of Ghana, and in particular we're working with the Ghana Education Service, and we're supporting them to implement at scale and to bring our program into the kindergarten system so that it can really be institutionalized. So the strategy that we have in Ghana is that we're training kindergarten teachers to train mothers in their communities. These are very rural communities where the majority of mothers have never been to school themselves and can't read or write, and we're training these mothers to provide their own care and learning opportunities at home and in the kindergarten classroom.
Right, okay, so I believe you're English. Yeah, so why Africa? Or specifically, you mentioned at the moment you're at Ghana and Uganda. So as a British national, what made you decide to set up an organization that focuses on Africa?
I'm afraid I don't have a very good story to tell. So I first came to Ghana in 2008,
wow.
And at the time I was working as a human rights lawyer for the UK government, and I was in Ghana for 2 months in the north of Ghana, and I was working in a school, and I just got very interested there were lots and lots of children enrolling in school. And this was quite a long time ago, and there was a big push to get access to children. And so these children parents were sacrificing to get children into the classroom, but they weren't learning in the classroom. So I got really interested in how can we really help communities and parents to really do more to help their children to learn and develop. So I just really fell into it and then fell in love with the country and the people and never looked back.
Okay, you mentioned that they weren't learning in the classroom. So, what did you mean by they weren't learning? To you, what does learning consist of in general? And what did you see that cast your mind to help?
So I remember watching a lesson and the teacher was standing in front of the class and there were 60, 70 children eager to learn. And the teacher said, "Right, children, what does the earth do?" And I remember thinking, oh. And then the children all recited back, "The earth rotates around the sun on its axis." And that was what the children were being taught to do, to recite, or chewing, they call it here.
In Ghana, it's chewing.
Chewing. And you could see that they were memorizing, but no one could actually tell me, what does rotates mean? What does this mean? And so they weren't understanding, they weren't being encouraged to think, to ask questions, to problem solve, to understand. And so I think for me, learning is really around problem solving, creativity, gaining understanding, curiosity, creativity, all of these things that are so important for our development. But I think we need to ask ourselves, how well set up is the classroom to do that for our children? And it's not just a problem in Ghana, my own country. We are asking ourselves the same question.
Okay, so you mentioned that your organization focuses on teaching mothers as well. So how does that fit into the GES system? How do your strategies fit in the GES system, and what role do the mothers or parents play? And I know mothers or parents play a vital role in a child's development, but how do they factor in your strategy?
Great question. So first of all, in rural communities in Ghana, children who are maybe primary school, kindergarten, if you think about it, they're normally in school maybe between the hours of 8:30 and midday. So actually, if you think about it, the vast majority of a child's time and learning is not spent in school. It is spent at the home. So like it or not, parents are the key educators. And so we've been working a lot with GES, the Ghana Education System, to say, if you put all of the responsibility on learning onto the classroom and onto the teacher, where actually children spend not very much time, you are missing all this potential learning opportunity where children can learn at home. Children spend the majority of their time at home, and that is where there's this huge potential to support children's learning and social development, and also to really think about ways to improve their nutrition and their health. And in what we've seen a lot of over the 16 years that we've been doing this work, is that unfortunately mothers in rural communities are often very marginalized themselves. Often these mothers never had the chance to go to school, they may have been married young, and really a lot of mindset barriers are holding these women back. They think, oh, but me, I never went to school. How can I be a teacher? How can I support my child's learning? That's the job of the school. And often they're really scared of the school, and they think, oh, but these are people, and who am I, and that, that's the school, and I'm not part of that. And they feel often that educating a child or doing these activities costs money and it requires resources, and they know that they don't have that. And they also feel that they can't really make a change for their children. So often they will say, there's just nothing I can do, this is how it is. And so what we're doing with the GES Lively Minds program is we're showing these women, no, it doesn't matter if you've been to school or not, if you have things or not. There are so many ways that you can support your children's development using what you have. You can make games, you can play games. Even if you don't know how to read and write, you can strengthen your child's literacy, numeracy by playing simple games, teaching them to count, playing games that are about sorting or recognition or matching. These are actually the building blocks of literacy and numeracy. So if you get parents telling stories, singing songs, these are learning. This is how children learn. So the more you can get parents prioritizing this, spending time with their children, prioritizing these simple, very low cost and also low time intense activities, then that is going to set their children up to succeed. And that is exactly what the program is doing.
Right. Okay. So, what parts of northern Ghana are you, and how many children and parents have you trained so far?
So the way our program works is through GES systems, which has really meant that we can scale the program quickly. So over the past 3 years, we have trained 64 district teams. So we work with Ghana Education Service District Education Office, and in each of 64 districts, we've trained a team at the district level, and they have trained all of the kindergarten teachers from across the district, and those kindergarten teachers have then enrolled and trained at least 35 mothers in each community. So right now we're in 3,800 schools, and there's over 12,000 kindergarten teachers trained, and 130,000 mothers are participating in the program, and this year alone something like 250,000 kindergarten students are benefiting.
That's impressive. So right now in Ghana, we have Upper West, Upper East, Savannah region, North region. Can you mention some of the schools, even one or two?
All of those regions are running the program. So we have Upper East, Upper West, Northern Northeast, what do I mention? Savannah, Bono, Oti, and Bono East. Everywhere, all of those rural districts, all the rural districts are running the program.
Okay, so you mentioned that the program is running with GES. How is it being run? Is it being run as a subject? I think at the moment you're learning about 9 or 10, if I'm right. But for the early childhood, is it being run as a subject? How is it being run? Is it a Monday to Friday thing? What time is allocated to the parents? And if you mentioned some of the activities, games and whatnot, but you can play that. I am a child at heart. So my first question is how it's being run in the system. And you mentioned that has been running for the past 3 years. So has there been any statistics from the first year to the second year? Have there been statistics on the development and the improvement of the kids who moved on from crèche, kindergarten to the primary classes?
Okay, so you've asked me many questions. I'm going to take them one by one. So the first question is, before we even started to scale the program, there was a big evaluation, and we followed children and mothers in 80 schools. 40 had the program and 40 had not yet had the program. So we could see what happened to the children over a year who had it and who did not have it. And in the program, 93% of the mothers running the program could not read or write in English, had never even finished primary school. And at the end of the year, the children in the program were a full academic year ahead of those who had not. So their early literacy, their early numeracy, their executive function, like the way they think, was a full year ahead. And there were big improvements in their nutrition. So we had reduced malnutrition through the hand washing work we do in the training for parents on nutrition. So we knew before we started the big scale up that the program worked and really supports early childhood development. And so we've really been focusing, as we've been scaling, on making sure the quality remains in place. And your question was about what does it look like maybe each day to day. So because these women are farmers and they have other obligations on their time, we wanted to make sure we're not overburdening them. And so in each community, maybe 35 to 40 mothers are in the program, and each is given 1 hour slot when they come into the school. So you might be the Monday group, and then you come to school at 8:30 on Monday morning. You teach play for just 1 hour, and then you go, and then the teacher continues with their normal class activities. So it's part of the kindergarten day that the mothers come in and run the play groups, supported by the kindergarten teacher. And what we've done with GES is every single kindergarten has received a package of teaching learning materials that have games that strengthen literacy, numeracy, just simple games mainly made of wood, sort of from local carpenters, or pick very colourful games. And so each kindergarten has been given these, and the teachers have been trained to use them, and the mothers have been trained to use them. So that is how it works. But importantly, the mothers are also shown how you can make this at home from whatever you have. So I have some wonderful pictures of mothers who've made games from calabashes and from cloth and fabric and buttons, and all this wonderful creativity is happening.
Right, it's lovely. My next question would be, what was the reception of the community when you first introduced it? How did they receive the program? You may be working with GES and all that, but then how did the community, the northern regions, behave or when the program was introduced to them, parents and kids alike?
So we make sure that the program is about behavior change. We're trying to change mindsets and attitudes, and these are long ingrained feelings of maybe low self-esteem. And so the way that the program is designed is that immediately we start the mothers playing a game. And so we show them, look, you can do it, look, you've learned. And then it makes it fun, it removes the pressure, because these women are coming into the school classroom to be trained by the teacher. Many of them have little experience of being in a classroom, or maybe their experience of being in the classroom wasn't so good. And so we really try to train the teachers to make their training very fun, very relaxed, very participatory. So it's really trying to teach through doing, very practical. So lots of games, lots of clapping, lots of excitement. So really what happens very fast is maybe the mothers come in and they're a bit shy and feeling not confident. And by the end of the first session, they're excited, and we're tapping into that energy and excitement. And I think people underestimate these women so much that often people just say, oh, these women won't do it, they won't be interested, they're too busy, or they'll feel this is a waste of time. But it is not so. As I say, the program is in so many communities now, and in every one the same thing, where these women think, I can do, I never realised before, but now I realise I am in fact a teacher. And they say things like, now the children call me Madame, I am a teacher. So actually the transformation that you see in the women is the most, for me, the most fulfilling, the most exciting part of the whole program.
That was my next question, that despite the program being for kids, do you see that it has changed these women in a lot of ways? And are there instances where you feel sad that these women didn't have that kind of training in their early development?
Yeah, I see it all of the time. A few weeks ago, when I was in a community and I was speaking to a woman, and she said, she never went to school, and she used to be scared of the school, and her compound was right by the school. So whenever she wanted to walk into the main area of the village, she would walk all the way around the school because she was too scared. But now she just walks across the school and people greet her. And what is also amazing is that same woman, she doesn't just come into the school for her teaching day. Quite often the teacher says she'll peer in at the lesson and listen in, and she's wanting to learn. And so yeah, it makes me very, very sad to see that so many people never got opportunities to develop their own potential. But I think it's so exciting, and these women are such an unutilized resource. In our organization we say women are the sleeping giants of education, and so unlocking that and really waking them up and unlocking that energy is I guess it doesn't sort of stop what happened in the past, but it feels like it's really making up for some of that.
Okay, this is just by the way, would you ever consider adult education or developing a program for adult education, specifically women in these communities?
So when we first started the program, it was very much about teaching the women to run early childhood, and then the women said, oh please, we really enjoy the learning. And so part of the program is that each month the women get a workshop that the teacher delivers on adult education, on life skills, on things like self-esteem, on managing stress. So we have this mobilized group, we can, and all the teachers are trained, we can get more education and more skills to these women. And we're working now with the education service to look at how can we work with other government departments to use this very now empowered and mobilized group of women so that we can do more education and more skills for them.
Right. So now let's look at your partnership with the Ghana Education Service. How did it come to be? Were there some hurdles you had to cross in the partnership?
So we first started the program, I suppose, with the blessing of government. So my mentor, we call him Mr. Cambodia, Alhaji Haroon. When I first came to Ghana and I told him my idea, at the time he was the education director for the area that I was in. And so he said, yes, by all means, this sounds wonderful, you go off and do this. And so he's been very supportive ever since then. That was 16 years ago. As we started to really test it and how we could work through government, we've really made sure that it's hand in hand working with government. So we've worked with the ministry, we've worked with Ghana Education Service, we've worked with the district education officers, the regional education officers. So rolling out a big program through government officials isn't always easy, but I have to say we've been so appreciative of the fact that they were open to something really quite innovative, using teachers not just to teach children but to engage communities and teach mothers. The fact that they were open to doing that and really willing to take a risk in some ways and to innovate and to see how these teachers can be utilised for more, I think tells a very, pays a lot of credit for the Ghana Education Service.
Okay, so many people say Ghanaians are very welcoming. Based on what you were saying, would you attest to it that we are very welcoming in terms of people, ideas, and all that? I know you've tried introducing this program to other countries. So as compared to your experience with other countries, what would you say about?
Yeah, the Ghanaian people are so welcoming and yes, there's nothing more to say. Ghana is my second home, and I'm so grateful to have had the experience to come and live here and to be welcomed. And I've made this work is not me by any stretch. It's me and a team of amazing, talented Ghanaians. And yes, I think what I see from Ghana is just the innovation, the energy. I know that every country at the moment is hitting their troubles and challenges, but even when I come, and I've just been in the UK, and when I come here, there's a sense of we can do it and we're moving forward, and energy and creativity, and it's really something quite incredible. I think when you're not from the country, you can see it very easily.
Thank you so much, and we're also grateful to have you. And on behalf, I'll say I'm speaking on behalf of Ghanaians. I thank you so much for your innovation and for thinking about the country as a whole. I believe before bringing your initiative into the country, you looked at the education system we had at the moment in Ghana as a whole. So what are your thoughts on our education system now, from early childhood straight to university? What do you think about our education system?
I think education systems around the world are facing big challenges, but what I think really, and I'm of course I'm not political in any way, what I do think Ghana should really be proud of is in early childhood development, there's very, very few countries in Africa, but even in the rest of the world, that actually have an state-provided early childhood development system. Ghana has 2 years of kindergarten and has had for 15 years. It really is a pioneer in early childhood development. And I think we're seeing this with the two-track secondary education as well. Lots of countries are trying to figure out how can we increase access, and Ghana's doing it. And of course, it takes time to get it right, and it takes time for the quality issues to be solved. But the fact that there's a system and it's working, and it has that it's continuously improving, puts it so much further ahead than most people. So I think every system always needs to be continuously improved, but there is something in place, and that means that improvements can be made. When you look around at so many other countries in the world that don't even have that, so I'm filled with hope.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So back to your project. You mentioned you do not only train, like you're looking at the cognitive progress of the child, but it also includes nutrition and health. So what about the nutrition and the health? I know your focus is on rural areas, but there are some urban areas in the country that are also lacking this because our education system is like the same around across the country. So when you mention nutrition and health, how does that work?
So the way that works again is through the parents. So we can identify that actually a lot of children are not well nourished, and that actually isn't always. It's people might think maybe it's because there isn't enough food, but normally it's because parents don't quite realise that it's not about how much food, but it's about balanced diet, and they don't sometimes know what nutritious foods are, where they can get them from, and when and how to feed the children. So often it's just providing information and ideas for parents so that they can take action themselves using their own resources. So the fact that our program, we have increased nutrition mainly by giving parents information that will help them make the right decisions. We don't give supplements, we don't provide bed nets and things like that. It's just saying these are simple things you can do, you already have, and we see these results. We do a lot of work on hand washing and teaching why hand washing is so important and how you can make soap from ash or from leaves, and you don't necessarily even need to buy things. If you can give parents ideas like that, they are willing to run with it. So it's often just about providing information and ideas, and then parents have got it from there.
Okay, this will be my last question. So, for a 3-year-old child, what would you say a balanced diet is for a 3-year? What would be a balanced diet for a 3 to 6-year-old child?
Sure. So the main thing is there are 3 main food groups. Now you're testing me, I feel like. So we talk about go, glow, and grow foods. So go foods are your carbohydrates, things like rice or yam, things that make you have energy. Glow foods are very important. So these are your vegetables. Often that's missing. And then go, these are the proteins. So your meats, your eggs, these types of things. So really, what we see often is people forget often about protein or the fruit and vegetables, and really are focusing on porridge and carbohydrates. So it's about balancing that out. Oof, that put me under the spotlight. Can I remember my own workshops?
But thank you so much for joining me here today, Ms. Alison. And if you have any last words for mothers, parents in general, and for teachers. Oh, sorry, I forgot one question. So I feel like in Ghana, our educational system doesn't really make room for special needs children or children with dyslexia. The country is doing a lot that these are special programs people undertake in the school training schools, those teacher training schools. Yes, but in the classrooms, those who can't afford these special needs schools, dyslexia is a topic that is not often spoken about in Ghana. In Ghana, if you're dyslexic, you're dumb. Most people do not even know it's a condition. So is that something your project talks about? There may be games, there may be simple things you'll be playing, and the kid may not get it. How do you approach such incidents?
And I think that's the advantage of having, because if you're a classroom teacher and you have 50, 60 children, it's so difficult. Even if you were the best trained teacher in the world, how can you even meet basic needs, let alone give children extra support who need it. So one of the advantages of then having mothers come into the classroom is that you can provide more individualized attention. And again, the advantage of teaching through play is everyone can join in, and the whole ethos is, it doesn't even matter, like if you're building something with bricks, there's no right or wrong answer. Right. If you're listening to stories, if you're playing outdoor games, you're running around. So it's about helping children learn through play, which is how they learn best. And no matter what the special needs are, everyone can participate.
I highly commend you for that. With this answer, I understand that it means usually when it comes to academics, such children feel left out and marginalized. But as you mentioned, there are games, there are breaks, you're building stuff, you're playing, the stories, everyone can listen in. And at that point, all the kids are the same and equal. So thank you so much. And again, your last words, if you have anything to say to a mother watching, a parent, a teacher, what you have to say, and where is Lively Minds going next?
Yeah. So at Lively Minds, we are now getting ready to move into our next country, so we're very excited. So we haven't yet chosen which country we want to go to, but we are looking for other governments where there is willingness to work with us to innovate and where there is a large rural population that could really benefit from this program. So we're hoping to reach 1 million children in the next 3 years. That is our goal.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alison. Thank you for joining me here today, and I must commend you on your efforts, as well. And I hope to see Lively Minds reach the milestone you mentioned 1 million kids. Yes, so I wish you all the best in your endeavors as well. Today I had an interesting conversation with Ms. Alison Naftalin, the founder of Lively Minds, a non-governmental organization that is dedicated and committed to early childhood development in rural areas in Ghana. I believe you learned a lot if you're a mother or a parent or a teacher who watched us today. I believe you're learning a lot, and I believe you're watching out for Lively Minds in your community. And please do not forget to share, like, and subscribe to RMC TV. See you same time next week. Bye.